8th of December Council Agenda Briefing meeting commencing here tonight at the Kalgoorlie Town Hall at 6 p.m. sharp. On behalf of the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians on the lands on which we meet this evening and pay our respects to elders past and present. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and streamed live on the Council's website in accordance with the City's public participation in Council meetings policy, which can be viewed on the Council's website. All reasonable care is taken to maintain your privacy. However, as a visitor in the public gallery, which tonight there are nil, your presence may be recorded. By remaining in the public gallery, it is assumed that your consent is given if your image is broadcast. The recommendations contained in the agenda are officers' recommendations only and should not be acted upon until Council has resolved to adopt these recommendations. The resolutions of Council should be found by pursuing the minutes of Council meetings where these recommendations were considered. Members of the public should also note that they act at their own risk if they enact any resolution prior to receiving written notification of Council's decision. The purpose of agenda briefing sessions are for councillors to ask questions and to obtain additional information in respect to items presented on the ordinary council agenda. Questions asked by councillors are to be answered by the CEO, or tonight by the acting CEO, or by persons nominated by the CEO or by the presiding officer. No decisions are made at an agenda briefing session, and there's no statements to be made or no debate on items to take place. It is a question session only, and I will interject where councillors are providing commentary outside of asking questions. Councillors, tonight I am going to trial a slightly different approach on this meeting in that I will ask if any councillors have any questions for each item before inviting the directors up. If there are no questions, then we'll move on to the next item. If there are questions, then I'll invite the director to approach the podium and invite councillors to ask their questions. In attendance tonight, we have Councillor Bodica, Councillor Della, Councillor Johnson, Councillor O'Donnell, Councillor House, Councillor Walker-Dunstan, Acting CEO Francis Liston, our directors and city staff. There are no visitors in the gallery and no press. We do have a few apologies this evening, and they are from Mayor Wilson, Councillor Viskovich and the CEO. Sorry, Acting CEO. We do have the Mayor wishing to join us through a link up by phone. Do we have that ready? So please bear with us, councillors, while we connect. As noted, Mayor Wilson is joining us by digital connection through the phone tonight. At this point in time, we have received one notation of interest for next week's ordinary council meeting from myself, which will be an impartial interest for item 15.5.3, a commercial lease consideration for the Mawang Family Support Services, as they could be perceived as a competitor to the organisation I am CEO of in GIFSA. Councillors, are there any other notations of interest any councillors would like to declare tonight, knowing that they have until next Monday to have these in by? Councillor Johnson.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. 15.5.1 and 15.5.2, commercial leases at the Kalgoorlie-Boulder Airport. I have sent that through. It will appear there for next week. It's just that I have a leased facility at the Kalgoorlie-Boulder Airport as well.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Councillor Della.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. 15.4.1, the KBCCI activation for the Central Business District MOU. And would I be able to also confirm we haven't had that email sent through yet for declarations? Is that correct?
Acting CEO.
I'll check that with our staff whether that's been sent through. It has been sent through.
Thank you, Councillor Della. Councillor Bodica. Sorry, Councillor Bodica, just your microphone.
I've got one too, 15.4.1 KBCCI activation of Kalgoorlie-Boulder Central District Business, MOU. Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you, Councillor Bodica. Are there any other notations of interest? Councillor Walker-Dunstan.
Janelle. Commercial lease, 254 Hannon Street. Similar interest to my business.
Wonderful. Thank you, Councillor Walker-Dunstan. Are there any other notations of interest? No. Wonderful. Councillors, I'm also going to change the order of items slightly tonight, as given we have a confidential item, and given councillors have expressed several questions on this item, I'm going to bring this item forward tonight to allow councillors to ask questions while they are at their freshest. So with that, item 17 is a confidential item, and we do have one item to consider. For those watching online, council will now go behind closed door to allow councillors the opportunity to ask questions on this item, and this will mean live streaming will stop briefly and return shortly following this. Wonderful. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for your patience. Following questions by councils regarding the confidential item, council has now returned to the live agenda briefing meeting. We'll move into item 14, reports of committee, and 14.1 is audit, risk and improvement committee meeting minutes, 11th of December 2025. Do any councillor have any questions on this item? Nil. Fantastic. We'll move through. Sorry. Acting CEO.
These will be a late item coming through on Thursday afternoon. The agenda has been published for the committee, so all of the reports that are being put up are available for review by councillors now on Docs on Tap, but the actual resolutions and the final decisions of committee won't be available till Thursday afternoon at the earliest.
Thank you, Director. Item 15 are reports of officers, and we're moving straight into item 15.2.1, the resolution register. Do any councillors have any questions? As we have an indication of questions, Acting CEO will have questions directed to yourself. Councillor House.
First, thank you, Deputy Mayor. First I'll say is the
Point in time.
my question was going to be, how can I do that myself? So just getting there, Deputy Mayor. So I've got quite a list of questions. I don't think it's really appropriate that I list them all tonight because we do want to get home. So if I could just lay them on the table, give them to officers to bring back to a later date, I'd be happy with that if everybody else was.
Thank you, Councillor House. Through an EM request, acting CEO would be the most appropriate measure. Thank you. Any other questions on this item?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just through to the acting CEO. Are we looking to extend the register to give a greater historical snapshot of resolution actions?
Acting CEO.
Yes, I'm happy to do that, and we can provide that early in the new year as a separate item.
Supplementary, Councillor Della.
How far are we looking at going back on that?
The program that we use was installed about 3.5 years ago. So that's about as far as that register would go. We do have records in a different format, but in terms of being provided in the current format with that level of information, 3.5 years.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Della. Any other questions? Mayor Wilson, any questions from yourself on this item?
All good, thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Wilson. We'll move on to item 15.2.2, which is the annual report 2024 to 2025. Do any councillors have any questions? Nil. So we'll move through to item 15.2.3, the elected member continuing professional development policy and elected member and CEO attendance at events policy. Do any councillors have any questions on this item? We do have an indication of questions. Acting CEO, will you be taking the questions this evening? Fantastic. Councillor House.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. My first question is, these are all statutory requirements, and second or supplementary to that is, do these also apply to staff other than the CEO?
Acting CEO.
Yes, they are policies required by legislation, and no, these ones do not apply. We have similar policies in relation to attendance and events for staff, which is an operational guideline rather than a policy position.
A supplementary, Councillor House.
Yes, please, Deputy Mayor. The reason for my question, and just to give that context, is if this applies to the CEO, sub-delegates down to director level, by virtue of that possesses the same delegation as a CEO and could attend a workshop or conference or an event and not be bound by the same level of scrutiny or the level of involvement by the council. That's a point of clarification. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Acting CEO.
Thank you. Council employs the CEO, and so decisions in relation to the CEO's attendance and events is determined by council per the policy. Employees, including directors, are determined by CEO at discretion. That doesn't come to council for that reason.
Councillor House.
Supplementary. So, on that basis, we could prevent the CEO. We could have a policy that wrote the CEO can't go to workshops, or that, I mean, that wouldn't make any sense to say that the policy says applies to the CEO, but if he sub-delegates that to another officer, to say that same officer isn't bound to the same level of scrutiny. So I think...
Councillor House, the question component of that one is?
Why doesn't it apply to the officers that he delegates that responsibility to? It would be redundant having it apply to the CEO if he's sub-delegating it. Thank you.
Acting CEO.
The scrutiny of staff is undertaken by the CEO at an operational level and through the processes and procedures that govern staff and operational matters.
Thank you. Any other questions on this matter? I do have one. Acting CEO, just extending a little bit on Councillor House's question, and I won't try to preempt where he was going with it, but my understanding is, would the staff policy relating to this would be, I'd imagine, quite similar to what is being proposed in this particular item. Would that be correct?
So we have management guidelines for internal operation that address matters such as when staff have training opportunities, when staff go away for conferences. We have similar provisions that make sure that there's clarity and parity in relation to things like travel, accommodation costs, etc. So it's all managed to make sure that staff are offered opportunities in accordance with a clear process and that we do have an oversight mechanism.
Wonderful, thank you. Councillor.
I just need to reframe what I'm saying here. This isn't about restrictions, or it's not about limitations, or it's not about anything other than holding up the intent of the policy. The intent of the policy is to ensure that when a council member or a member of staff is attending a workshop or a conference or something and representing the organisation, that they're doing so under the guise of the council, is that we've either provided input to say, yes, we want them to go to the World Conference on, I don't know, something.
Councillor House, you're debating a little
you.
now.
Yes,
If
you're
there's a question there, I'd ask you to please ask it.
Was there a question?
Withdraw the question at this point? Thank you. We'll move to item 15.2.4, which is the policy review. Are there any questions on this item? As there have been indicated questions, we'll defer questions to the Acting CEO. Councillor Della.
Thank you. I notice that a couple of the policies have almost basically whole new wording. Could we assume that they are new policies?
Acting CEO.
Effectively, yes. I haven't tried to repeal existing ones and replace them, but that would be an alternative mechanism.
Thank you. Councillor Johnson. Oh, no, sorry, Councillor O'Donnell.
Thank you. Just a few questions. It's regarding the travel policy. What company do we use to book flights and accommodation for elected members?
Acting CEO.
It's a company called Corporate Travel Management.
Are they? Do we use that company for staff travel too?
Yes.
Yeah. How long have we been using that company?
I'd need to take that question on notice to give you an exact answer. A couple of years.
All right. Do you know if the city pays them a set fee per transaction or a percentage of whatever the fare is?
We may have to be careful here. There may be a confidential agreement in place there as well.
Sorry?
There may be a confidential agreement in place here as well, Councillor O'Donnell, so I'd just remind you.
If there is, then yes.
Acting CEO.
I'd need to check the question in terms of whether there is any confidentiality around it, but I can answer that for you.
You think? Oh, all right, and which was going to lead to my next one. How much have we paid that company in each of the last 2 years?
I'll take that on notice.
Confidential. And my last question, have we ever considered reverting to staff doing the bookings and or, if not, possibly look at if they book a job, have a staff member have a look and see if, well, hold on, I could find it a way cheaper, a different way. Have we ever thought of that?
Acting CEO.
The last sort of comparison or reconciliation that we did in relation to costs, sometimes the costs might come through a little higher, sometimes it comes through lower. So we're not seeing that there's major financial implications of using the system through staff. I'm happy to look at it further. It's been a little while since I last reviewed it, but having a centralised system where all of it is booked in the one place really increases our administrative governance and centralises the information in one place, which does actually make things a little bit easier internally rather than having ad hoc purchases of flights and accommodation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Donnell. Councillor Johnson.
Through the Deputy Mayor to the Acting CEO, would it be fair to say that would be oversight? If there was something in there which was very unusual, it would be you'd see it would stand out. And I imagine we have an oversight of the way transactions are done. And if there are any questions, you would be going back to our travel personnel to fix that. So I'd imagine there'd be oversight in that there. So having it all centralised is spot on, and I think, yeah,
Acting CEO?
Yeah, there is oversight in terms of how that system is set up.
Councillor House?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I've got a note here for myself. I saw a clause that said, inclusion of clause stating that failure to meet the policy requirements constitutes a breach of the code of conduct. So my question there be, who determines that it's a breach, and what would they be breaching?
Thank you, Councillor House. Acting CEO?
Which policy are you referring to, please, Councillor Hulse?
So,
It says that we will, if you missed your flight intentionally, rally-roo, well, there may be some repercussions.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Acting CEO.
I'm not sure how to answer that. I understand the point that you're making. I don't think it has an answer.
Thank you. Councillor House.
Thank you, Deputy CEO, Deputy Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Johnson. That was a very good question, a very pertinent question. Why are we talking about a code of conduct whilst I'm talking about a travel policy? That's a great question. I don't know if I would bring that up voluntarily. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't go looking for it myself. Don't know what the code of conduct says. Why are we talking about a code of conduct? The reason we're talking about it is because it's in the policy that's in front of you, Councillor. And
Councillor
to understand
House,
the
just reminding you,
implications-
it's
Sorry?
not debate, just the question.
The question is, why doesn't council understand that we have literally a policy that's been written by city officers that have included a mechanism to breach us if we don't report that we went to a workshop? And I know, as draconian as that sounds, that is what how the policy is written, is that if I attend a workshop on behalf of council and I don't report back to this committee to say this is what the content of that meeting was, there is a mechanism in there to breach me. That is why the code of conduct is brought into this discussion. It is very unusual to have reference to a code of conduct in a policy of this nature.
So, Councillor House, the question is, why would council consider that in there? I don't think the acting CEO could consider that question.
No. My question is, why isn't council aware that a reference to the code of conduct in a policy that they own would constitute a breach of the code of conduct?
Thank you, Councillor House. I think that's probably a question for each councillor to consider themselves at a time of debate and make a decision whether it's adopted or otherwise for next week. Are there any... acting CEO.
Sorry, Deputy Mayor, I did just want to draw to council's attention. It came to my attention just before this meeting started that we will need to replace this policy report in the OCM agenda, and we'll provide that update through as quickly as possible. There are a couple of amendments that were made that just need to be replaced back. The content's not exactly the same as the content that was put through in the November OCM, so I'll make that amendment and correct that and provide further detail to council tomorrow morning about that.
Thank you, acting CEO. Councillor Della.
Is that in relation to the policy, elected member travel policy that we're discussing, or other policies?
No, it relates to the floodplain policy. There's been some amendment to the report that I hadn't seen that we'll just need to look at tomorrow morning, but I've only just became aware of it before the meeting started, so I'll need to address that properly.
Sorry, Councillor House, just your microphone. A question or clarification?
Yeah, clarification, Deputy Mayor. So are we saying we're still discussing the item, or we're laying it on the table, or... Sorry, I'm just a bit confused.
So at this point in time, it's an agenda briefing, so it's just questions on the item. If council chooses to do what they wish at the OCM next Monday, it's completely up to council at that point in time. But tonight, it's merely about questions. Thank you. With that, we will move on to the next item, which is item 15.2.5, the council working groups. Are there any questions from councillors on this item? No. We will then... Oh, sorry, Councillor House. With that, we will put this through to the acting CEO. Councillor House.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just referring to my previous question regarding the standing orders and our requirement to disband all of the committees. If we could if I get some clarity on that item, please. And the points that I raised regarding the city centre revitalisation and I believe the local emergency management committee, which I see is in the report. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor House. Acting CEO.
Thank you, Councillor House. I take it that you're referring to an email that was sent to me and also to council yesterday. Is that the case?
Acting CEO, I've sent you several emails about this subject.
Sorry, Councillor House. The email in question, though, was the most recent one. Is that correct?
The email was in relation to the hierarchy of legislation or internal policy that's led to this decision.
Acting CEO.
Deputy Mayor, could I ask that the question be asked in full rather than me trying to cross-reference against an email chain that's not on the table?
Thank you, Acting CEO. Councillor House.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The question that I'll put to you, Acting CEO, is does the Council Committee Handbook supersede a local law? And would I be guided first by the local law or first by the handbook?
Thank you, Councillor House. Acting CEO.
So, Councillor House, the committee handbook contains a couple of different policies and also brings together other information in relation to council committees and working groups and external committees, including the membership of those and relevant terms of reference documents. So in itself, the committee handbook is just a collation of various different things into one place. In terms of the overall structure, local laws have priority over a council policy.
Thank you, Acting CEO. Councillor House.
So back to my original question. Does the standing orders apply to the City Centre Activation Working Group?
Acting CEO.
No, not to my knowledge.
Supplementary.
Supplementary, Councillor House.
The City Centre Activation Working Group. I don't even have to ask a question because that's the standing orders refers to committees and working groups. If it was called anything other, Deputy Mayor, that the acting CEO's argument would stand. But it is literally called a working group. It has a terms of reference for a working group. There's no dispute that that's what the standing orders states, committees and working groups. And I'm happy to be challenged on that aspect, but I don't think we keep going around and talking about the internal application of the policy. We talk about the policy.
Thanks, Councillor House. I don't believe there's any debate occurring tonight whatsoever that's pushing through. And in terms of challenging, that may occur for next week at the OCM. Acting CEO.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'll take the question on notice. I think we might be at cross purposes with what we're talking about, so I'll review further.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Nil. We will move on to item 15.3.1, which is the accounts payable report for November 2025. Are there any questions from councillors? Since there is one, there is nil questions relating to this matter. We will move through to the next item, which is item 15.3.2, Statement of Financial Activity, October 2025. Are there any questions from councillors? As we have had an indication of questions, Acting CEO, will you be taking the questions tonight?
Thank you, I will. I may need to take them on notice depending on the question.
Thank you, Acting CEO. Councillor O'Donnell.
Thank you. On page 30, it says that for the period July to 31st of October, income exceeded budget expectations by 1.18 million. Is that just people, more people paying their rates quicker, or is there something that's come out of the blue to boost that up?
Thank you, Councillor O'Donnell. Acting CEO.
Thank you, Councillor O'Donnell. I will take that on notice.
Are there any further questions? Nil. We'll move on to the next item. The next item is item 15.3.3, Purchasing Policy Exemptions, July 2025 to September 2025. Are there any questions of councillors? No.
Yes.
Councillor House, you have one. Acting CEO, will you be taking questions on this item? Thank you. Councillor House.
Sorry, Deputy Mayor, I've just lost my notes here. My question related to, and just have to excuse me here, it related to the provision to use an internal mechanism to contract, and I think the value was quite high, but I can't see it here in front of me with all my other notes, so I'll just pass on that question for now. Sorry.
Thank you, Councillor House. When you do find it, I'd encourage you to enter it through as an EM request. Thank you. Any other questions from councillors? No, with that, we'll move on to the next item, which is item 15.3.4, tenders awarded under delegation from July 2025 to September 2025. Do any councillors have any questions? No. We'll move on to the next item, which is item 15.3.5, purchasing statistics as of 30th of September 2025. Do any councillors have any questions? No. We'll move on to the next item, which is item 15.4.1, KBCCI activation of Kalgoorlie-Boulder Central Business District's MOU. Do any councillors have any questions? Councillor House has indicated questions. Acting CEO, will you or the Director of Advocacy and Strategy be taking this one?
Director of Advocacy and Strategy, thank you.
Thank you. Director, if you would take the podium. Councillor House.
Just wanting to get some, I know it's still early days, but just some clarity around the timing of when we could have something to the, regarding the MOU that will support the fast applications and the fast, I guess, engagement between the two organisations, just to have smooth running events.
Acting Director.
The intent, through the Deputy Mayor, the intent of the MOU is that it would come into place from the 31st of December if Council were to approve it. We would then work with KBCCI to ensure that we can find expedited processes for in terms of our processes.
Thank you. Any other questions? Nil. Thank you, Acting Director. We'll move on to item 15.5.1, which is the Commercial Lease Renewal Airport BHP Nickel West. Do any councillors have any questions? As we have had questions indicated, Acting CEO, would yourself or the Director of Corporate and Commercial or Acting?
Tonight it's the Director of Engineering, Deputy Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Director, if you'll take the podium. Councillor Della.
Thank you. My question is probably more across all of the lease renewals that affect the airport and whether they fit with the future master plan development of the area.
I would need to take that one on notice.
Thank you. Any further questions, Councillor Della? Thank you. Any final questions for the Director? On this particular item? No. Thank you very much. Thank you, Director. Item 15.5.2 is the Commercial Lease Airport, Viva Energy Aviation. Do any councillors have any questions on this item? No. Move to the next item, and that is item 15.5.3, the Commercial Lease Retail for 7/272 Market Arcade, the Marwang Family Support Services. Do any councillors have a question related to this? As we have had questions indicated, Acting CEO, who will be taking the questions on this item tonight?
Director Engineering, thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Acting CEO. Director, Councillor House.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. My question relates to, I guess, the overall strategy for the Markets Arcade. Is there a strategy?
Deputy Mayor, strategy is basically first in, first served on people putting in expressions of interest for the Markets Arcade in our shops, and then each applicant is investigated and then on merit. So no strategy as such to trying to put different people, which first in, first served, and on merit once we've done all the background checks.
Supplementary, Councillor House.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I saw in previous reports regarding the asset management plans and ensuring that we address our own buildings and we get our own backyard in order. Have we done that at the Markets Arcade?
Director.
We are currently working through that because of the historical nature of that, so we're working through that with a couple of groups.
Councillor House.
Do we have timing around that, please, Director?
Director.
through the Deputy Mayor, I would hope the first 6 months of 2026.
Thank you, Director. Councillor Della.
Thank you. Through to the Director. Have we done works on that property prior to having tenants apply?
Director.
I would need to take that one on notice to confirm.
Thank you, Councillor Della. Any further questions? No. Thank you, Director. We'll move on to item 15.5.4, the commercial lease retail for 292 Hannah Street, Optus. Do any councillors have any questions relating to this item? As we have had questions indicated, Acting CEO, would you like to hand it back to the Director of Engineering? Thank you, Councillor Della.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through to the Director. Are we looking at incentivising our tenants upon renewal to improve the aesthetics both internally and externally upon renewal?
Director.
Normal renewals, signing a 5-year lease would incentivise by giving 3 months free rent at the start of each renewal.
Supplementary, Councillor Della.
Thank you. And would that include works to be carried out within the building to ensure that, I suppose, our major works across each of those shop fronts is up to current standards?
Director.
I would need to take that on notice to check and confirm.
Councillor Della, any further questions? No. Councillor House.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Della. That were some good questions because I think they tie into the asset management planning that the city's already identified. And to take that further, my question would be, could something be written into the asset management plan to say and to talk around what Councillor Della was referring to around that incentivising the businesses in addition to what our normal obligations would be?
Director.
I'll take that one on notice.
Thank you. No further questions? Thank you, Director. You may just want to stay up there. There's a few more that I've been told you've been linked to. The next item is item 15.5.5, the licence renewal airport for Worldly Investments, also known as Avis. Do any councillors have any questions on this item? No. We'll move on to item 15.5.6, the commercial lease renewal retail for 254 Hannah Street, Stacey's Hair Candy. Do any councillors have any questions on this item? No. We'll move on to item 15.5.7, MT Dance Fee Waiver Request. Do any councillors have any questions on this item? As we have had an indication of questions from a councillor, Director, and Councillor House.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. My question is, and this is just a clarification because I'm unclear on what the actual problem is, but could you just outline where the, I guess, downfall has occurred administratively?
Director.
I could, Councillor House, but I wouldn't be 100% certain, so I'd have to break it down. So we'll take that one on notice and provide you with the full breakdown.
Thank you, Director. Any further questions? Councillor Johnson.
Yes, thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Through to the Director, have we ever asked for an audit of profit and loss from the proponent, MT Dance, at any stage throughout this process?
Director.
Through the Mayor, that's a good question. I would have to take that on notice to confirm that as well.
Thank you, Director. Councillor Della.
Thank you. Director, would you be able to confirm who is liable for the outgoings in relation to the building in the event that items need to be renewed?
Director.
Thank you, and through yourself, Mr Deputy Mayor. I'm assuming that is for the Goldfields Arts Centre, and that would be the Arts and Culture Trust.
Councillor Bodica.
Through the Deputy Mayor to the Director, in the old contract that MT Dance had, did they actually undertake renting that space right throughout the year, or were they actually at that time only using it at certain times? Because it says, based upon full usage, no school holidays, no other events, etc., the high fee would be based on a lower average per the month. Is that what was happening previously? And is that a normal thing that somebody actually rents a space and only, uses it for a certain period of time and then expects to still stay there when they haven't used it for school holidays or public holidays?
Director.
You know what I mean?
Direction. Council is not considering writing off any data. It is the officer's recommendation at this point in time. Director.
Councillor House, I would have to take that one on notice to confirm what the process is internally. But my understanding is, in regards to business, it's not our business to see how other businesses run and whether they're profitable. That's their side of their business. We're just renting a space under the fees and charges.
Thank you, Director. Councillor Bodica.
Thank you. From my understanding, through the Deputy Mayor to the Director, to have a not-for-profit organisation, you have to establish with clear purpose that, benefits the public, not private gain. So has this MT Dance been able to establish that at this point?
Director.
They're stating that they're a not-for-profit, but have they been able to establish? And have they got a constitution? Have they got a charitable status? Have they got anything like that that goes along with not-for-profit?
Director.
Non-government organisations, yeah.
Not to our understanding, and hence they're being charged the normal fees,
Yeah.
Fees and charges.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Any other questions?
Mr Deputy, please.
Go ahead, please, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Can we just clarify that this was due to be presented to Council at the 27th of October? Can we just get the clarification from officers on it now being at the 15th of December OCM, please?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Director.
I would need to take that on notice, please, Mr Mayor and Mr Deputy Mayor, to get back to you on the delay.
Thank you, Director. Mr Mayor, any further questions? Councillor Johnson.
Yes, thank you. Through the Director or the Acting CEO, this was shown on the 18th of August 2025 at an ordinary council meeting. It was a procedural motion that was raised that way, that this be adjourned. Can we, for the elected members around the table, have a rundown on a procedural motion in this regard? What will be the process of working through this item during our OCM next week?
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Director. Or Acting CEO.
Councillor Johnson, I'll need to go back into the minutes from the August meeting. My understanding is that there was a procedural motion raised before the substantive motion was put to council. So in terms of who has spoken on the matter, which I think might be part of what you're referring to, my understanding is that no one did speak to it because the procedural came first.
Yes, just
Supplementary, Councillor Johnson.
point. Yeah, it was just more the process of a procedural motion. It is there. What will be happening on that night? Because there are some who can speak and there are some who can't speak, some who can vote, some who can't vote.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Acting CEO.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. If my understanding is correct, which was that it was a procedural motion to table the matter and bring it back, then that procedural motion in itself has now been resolved by bringing it back to council, in which case then the resolution just stands for standard process for that particular recommendation to come through council in the ordinary course.
Any further questions? Neil, thank you very much, Director. Item 15.6.1 is RFT 26004, extruding curbing works. Is there any questions from councillors? As we haven't had an indication of questions, my apologies, Director, you're getting your steps in tonight. If you would return back to the podium. Councillor House.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The start of the contract, when do we expect the program to start? I couldn't see that.
Director.
The program, Councillor Halls, hasn't stopped. So this is getting a new, currently we're working on day rates. This is to put forward a full annualised contract so that we can reduce our day rates costs.
Any other questions of the Director? Neil, thank you, Director. We'll move on to the next item, which is the item 15. Director.
That is correct.
It's to do with 2 lagoons and a budget allocation. Are we going to go down that? It's to do with 2 lagoons and a budget allocation. Are we going to go down that path?
Acting CEO.
I'm going to refer that one through to the Director Engineering, please.
Director.
So can you please brief or say the question that you're chasing an answer to again?
The item that we are discussing is to do with the approval of a budget for 2 lagoons. All the questions that I'm hearing around the table at this stage are about the whole process of the wastewater treatment plant. Would it be fair to say that we've gone a little bit off track and we need to get that question over because it's to do with a budget item, and that budget item then becomes an absolute majority? So we just probably need to, and correct me if I'm wrong, zero it into that one part.
Thank
The
you,
rest is
Councillor
supplementary.
Johnson. Yeah, the item is as it is within the report, so all questions can be directed by anything that's contained within the report or of the item and the officer recommendation from there, if that assists.
And also, Councillor Johnson, because there is $5.5 million put aside for the IDEA plant replacement, so explaining part of that, but so they do tie in together, and we are asking council to move $2 million of that across to construct ponds 1C and 1D, whilst we investigate the replacement of the IDEA plant and the tertiary treatment that we go with going forward.
Thank you, Director. Councillor Della.
Thank you. And through to the Director, the budget item is for Lagoons 1C and 1D. Could you explain why we need this as a holistic answer? Thank you.
Director.
Sure, and through the Deputy Mayor. So the current plant has 2 streams of treatment. The first stream being the IDE plant, which is currently offline and being investigated. The second stream is the lagoon process, which contains 4 current dams, dams 1A and 1B, which is where our first inlet of water goes into, or sewerage goes into, then dam 2 and then dam 3 before it goes out as treated wastewater. Currently, 6.4 meg of inflow a day is the treatment ponds is about the right amount for good treatment. After we're doing the inlet screen works and doing some work, we now anticipate we're getting about 6.8 meg into the plant today. So putting 1C and 1D will increase the plant's input to 8 meg a day. And then it'll allow a better process of the sewage into treated water, a little bit more time, but also future-proof us a little bit and buy the city a little bit more time to make the right recommendation for our primary treatment, which will then hopefully treat up to another 6 meg a day, which will allow us to treat, should we ever get up to about 14 meg a day of sewage.
Supplementary, Councillor Della.
So has this been, pardon the pun, in the pipeline for quite some time, or is this something that's been brought about due to a recent investigation?
Director.
This has been investigated for a little while, but the EPN has expedited this process, and we want to get it right. We want to make sure our backyard's right, so our process is right. So by building these 2 new ponds, it buys us that little bit of extra time to get the right tertiary treatment in place, investigate that, make the right call in regards to funding, how much it costs, how long it's going to take to build, and what type of tertiary treatment we go with. So this buys us a little bit of time and will also improve our quality. So the planning has been going on, but this is, with the EPN in place, this has expedited that planning.
Thank you. Councillor House.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. My first question to the Director, has the Department of Water and Environment, have they given you approval or in principle support for the proposed lagoons? And how does it relate to the notice that we've been given?
Director.
I am in, so the notice we got was in June. I am in weekly contact with DWER. We're working through a works approval that'll be with DWER for the 2 ponds at the back. They have given us in principle agreement to allow us the time to investigate our tertiary treatment.
Supplementary, Councillor House.
Just clarification on the answer there. No application has been lodged with DWER. We don't know if the regulator will approve those ponds. And more to the point regarding the notice, I'm no clearer on how we have progressed with clearing that notice and its relationship to the lagoons.
Director.
Through yourself, Mr Deputy Mayor, we have in principle agreement, Councillor Hulse, to the 2 lagoons. Until we have the works request in front of DWER, we won't have the full approval. In regards to the EPN and how we're progressing that, there is 22 items to the EPN. Those are all timelined and they're all being ticked off as they go. I think we've reached 9 of the 22 items.
Thank you, Director. Councillor House.
Director, I can't see anywhere in the notice where it refers to the need for a lagoon. I can see that it states we must invest our time and energy in getting the IDEA plant back online. I presume that $5.5 million that's been set aside for the IDEA plant was to achieve that notice requirement. So my question is, how have we gotten to the point of a $5.5 million budget for the IDEA plant? And then I think, as Councillor Johnson has just alluded to, have changed position. We've gone in a different direction. And if I've missed something in terms of the need for the lagoons, I'd be happy to hear that explanation.
Director.
Thank you. Councillor Hulse, so currently, as explained, we anticipated we were getting 6.4 meg of sewage inflow a day. We've now had a new meter as part of the EPN put on the plant. We're now getting 6.8 meg a day. The treatment ponds are only designed to treat 6.4 meg a day. So in part of that is circuiting the treatment. The IDEA plant, as much as I would hope that I could and the staff could get that knocked over in 12 months, that's not a reality. So we are trying to buy the city some time with the extra ponds to improve our process and make sure that we're not short-circuiting. This was also a part of attempting to reduce any odour from the South Boulder wastewater treatment plant as well. So we are still working on the IDEA plant, or it's another treatment process. But the IDEA plant and the company that designed and built the IDEA plant went out of business about 18 years ago. They're no longer being designed and built because they are make a lot of sludge, which creates a problem, and they require a lot of power to run them.
Supplementary, Councillor House.
This is a really important decision. I don't feel like I've got the adequate information here, and I hope that we can get that before we resolve this decision on Monday, and particularly regarding the in-principle support from DWER. I mean, I think that should have been included as part of the report. Can you explain why we haven't included that as part of the report? Because fundamentally, that is the most important part of this is the regulator's support.
Director.
I'll take that one on notice, Councillor House.
Thank you, Director. Is there any other questions from around the table? Councillor Johnson.
Just a question in that 15.6.2, in the body of the agenda is not shown on our notes on our left-hand side. It's missing. Just thought I'd bring that to your attention.
In regards to attachments?
Yes.
I think CEO has noted that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just noticed it myself.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Any other questions from around the table? Councillor Bodica.
Sorry. Is there any way that this proposal could actually blow out, in terms of the budget? We're saying it's 2 million at the moment, but is there any likelihood that it might go over that? Do you think, or do you think we'll be able to keep it pretty much within those margins?
Director.
It's a good question, Councillor Vodicka. We would attempt to keep that. So the amount has been modelled on what it cost us to do ponds 1A and 1B, and that was 3 years ago. Given that ponds 1C and 1D are old sludge dry-out lagoons, we would hope that we would have enough money, because there is not a great deal of site works or preparation, and it is basically to put into a PVC liner within those two ponds. So I'm comfortable that we're asking for enough money to complete this project.
Councillor Bodica, supplementary.
Supplementary. So just, in essence, if we drag it any longer, prices could go up considerably, couldn't they? So it's sort of saying,
Director.
in terms of the budget.
Going on previous experience of projects the last 2 years, the longer we leave them, the more they are costing us.
Councillor House.
I've just got a question regarding odour monitoring and the EPN notice. The EPN notice states that the primary reason to begin the investigation was from the odour, but the odour itself doesn't form part of the notice. The notice states that the responsibility is to ensure the water is treated to standards or to licence requirements, and that's our obligation, is to report on the water quality requirements. So my question is, how does the lagoons achieve that goal of having the quality water required for the regulator to keep us with the licence?
Thank you, Councillor House. Director.
Thank you, and through yourself, Mr Deputy Mayor. The EPN actually is two-part. So the first part of the EPN is to cease discharge of water to the environment. The second part of the EPN is due to the odour, and so that hence the EPN was raised on the back of those. The quality of the water is in two parts, Councillor House. We have DWER, who manage the plant and the licensing around the plant. And then we have the Department of Health, who manage the quality of water that goes out to our facilities and fields. Currently, we meet all Department of Health requirements in regards to the quality of water that goes out to our fields and our schools. But we still don't, with the EPN, we still have to make sure that the plant is working as designed, and that hence the 6.4, 6.8 meg short circuiting, asking for the extra 2 ponds to bring the plant's capacity up to 8 meg, allows us to make sure that we are getting the quality of water we would assume at the end, with the lowest odour that could possibly come from that plant.
Supplementary, Councillor House.
Can we ask for an additional report to be brought to council regarding this item, and really just articulate, really give us a clear understanding of where we are at with the EPN, just so we know whether we can support this or not, or how we can support this or not, because that's our priority, to get a solution here, and we don't want to be standing on the hose at all. So I'd love for that EPN just to have some clarity and give council confidence when we make the decision that we're doing it in accordance with the regulator's requirements.
Thank you, Councillor House. Just to understand the question, the question is it possible for an additional support outlining the concerns to be brought to council?
If I can, Mr Deputy Mayor, would be that the officers bring to council a report outlining the progress with compliance with the environmental protection notice, and so they're clear on where we are status-wise, and clear on how the lagoons help to achieve compliance, so we can deal with the odour.
Thank you, Councillor House. Acting CEO.
we can provide further information. The only question is for the Director of Engineering, how quickly that report can be provided. And I guess, Deputy Mayor, whether you want that as a formal council report to come through or whether you'd prefer it as a briefing prior to the OCM.
Director.
Thank you. We provide updates on a fortnightly basis through the CEO update. The last one was given on Saturday through the CEO update. More than happy to provide a briefing prior to council, so we're not, as Councillor Hall says, standing on the hose, to give you a full update of the EPM, where we're at with the EPM and how we're looking to go forward.
Thank you, Director. Councillor House.
Thank you for that, Deputy Mayor, and thank you for the offer, Director. We would require that in a report format, ideally attached as a attachment to this report. If it needed to be a standalone council item, that's fine too. But I mean, we have the opportunity, we're considering this next Monday. The Director has articulated to us that he's been meeting regularly with the regulator. I would hope that would be a priority, the wastewater treatment plants.
Sorry, Councillor House, and the question from Matt.
Can it please be in a report format?
Within the timeframe of next Monday's meeting, Director?
We will do our best to provide that.
Thank you, Director. I would like to also remind councillors at next Monday's OCM, they are more than welcome to add alternative motions up as well, or make amendments if they so fit for information. Are there any other questions relating to this item from around the table? All of mine have been asked. I have none for myself either. Thank you, Director. We'll now move on to item 15.7.1, the non-conforming use theatre D055/25 on lot 465, number 7, Brookman Street, Kalgoorlie. Do any councillors have any questions relating to this item? Nil. Fantastic. Oh, my apologies, Councillor House. Sorry, Councillor House, give us one moment. Director, if you would take to the podium. Councillor House.
Just a clarification. This sits on a register of some kind, and is it able to kind of come off that register if we're happy with the approval? Just for costs and associated running maintenance things, it does increase if you're a non-conforming use. If they are operating, they'd spend a lot of money on this. I'd just hate to see them be penalised because their name's on a list somewhere. So,
Director.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I'd need to take that on notice.
Thank you, Director. Any other questions relating to this item?
Yes, please, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Just confirmation, this was a request from the applicant for demolition.
Director.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor House.
thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, because I just wanted to get a clarification on that point, that with the demolition, I don't know if that would form part of the planning application. I don't know if there's a planning use or activity for demolition. I think it would be building stuff, but...
Director.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, yes, demolition is a public, well, the works are assessed under a building permit, so preparation for the planning application would be done under this, consideration when the building application comes in.
Thank you, Director. With that, we'll move on to the next item, which is item 15.7.2, additions and extension to approved workforce accommodation, D105/25, lots 3874 Hopkins Street, South Boulder. Do any councillors have any questions on this item? Councillor House.
I do have a question about this item. Why is it in front of us? I presume it's in front of us because it's a needing a health permit. I couldn't see the legislation that we're considering this under.
Director.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I'd need to take that on notice.
Thank you, Director. Supplementary, Councillor House.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I had to actually do a little bit of research around this because I didn't know much about it. How has the city become aware of this proposal? Can we get some clarity around what the proposal is itself? My understanding is it's 300 beds permanent on the leaseholder's site. Is that correct? 300 units?
Sorry, Councillor House, that's not this item. This item is in regards to additions and extension to improve workforce accommodation, not the original application.
Beg my pardon. The item that I was referring to was a different item that I saw in the CEO note. So my apologies. But yes, I will stop talking.
Thank you, Councillor House. Councillor O'Donnell.
Thank you. Would they have met the criteria when they originally submitted this if they had have taken out that laundry cabin and replaced it with a 4-room accommodation?
Director.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. As in the report, the main variation that would have been required is an additional parking bay if it was when assessed. That's been proposed to be satisfied with a requirement for additional parking to be provided at an adjacent site run by the same applicant.
Thank you. Councillor Della.
Thank you. I suppose the question around beds for this development, will the number of beds now exceed the total development availability for this project?
Director.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. No, it's still within what could have been approved previously, but as per only with the restriction there would have been an additional parking bay.
Councillor House.
Thank you for that question.
Director.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I'll take that particular aspect on notice. Thanks.
Thank you, Director. Are there any other further questions from around the table? Councillor Della.
Sorry, I just need some more clarity around, with that many bedrooms, is there going to be enough laundry facilities for that many rooms on that site? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Della. Director.
Yes, through you, Deputy Mayor. Yes, as detailed in the report, the removal of one of the laundry units will still leave 18 laundry units and only 11 are required for a facility of this size.
Councillor Johnson.
Yes, just through the Deputy Mayor. This was approved through JDAP based on a decision of council. Does JDAP need to be involved in this? Because that's what we've presented and we've made a change or retrospective. We're seeking to do a retrospective approval on a JDAP approved facility, even though they made the decision based on the information they had at the time in October, and also based on the 22nd of May council meeting. Does this need to go through to JDAP, or can we do this based on the rules of an approval through JDAP?
Director.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, because it's a minor amendment, there are pathways either back to JDAP or through to council of this nature, so they can come to us directly.
Supplementary, Councillor Johnson.
The pathway, so what is that pathway? Because are we changing a JDAP, what they knew that it was going to be, or what the council put up for it to be, and what the applicant put it up? Now they want to do a retrospective thing. Does that change at all? I'm just looking at that. I'm looking at the pathway that I'm seeing, or is that pathway not there?
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Director.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. Yes, there are two pathways the applicant can elect from for amendments of this nature. Can go back through RDAP or JDAP or back to council, as explained.
Councillor House.
So thank you for that answer. So regarding those two pathways, if the city were to refuse that application, what would be the next pathway? Is there another mechanism for these decisions?
Director.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I'll take that on notice.
Thank you. Councillor Bodicom.
Sorry, just through the Deputy Mayor to the Director. So in WA, that Development Assessment Panel, is that only able to make decisions of any projects that are over 2 mil? Or can it just, anybody can go to that? Or is it only a development application that's over $2 million? And would this project be over that?
Director.
It's not directly related to approving this development application, but I'm happy to provide an explanation of the JDAP process separately through question or notice.
And sorry, just one other thing. So did this development go through the Development Assessment Panel as well, or was it just, it did go through the Development Assessment Panel?
Director.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, yes, it went through RDAP.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Tom.
Are there any other questions from around the table? Councillor House.
Are we aware of any future expansion plans by this entity or this company in this location?
Director.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, no, we're not aware of any further expansion plans at this site.
Thank you, Director. Any other questions from around the table? Director, I do have just one. Most of mine have been answered, so thank you, councillors. My final question is, what options exist to council to stop or discourage retrospective development applications coming through over general development applications?
Through yourself. Sorry, you're asking particularly what controls we...
Correct. So for council to stop or discourage retrospective development applications coming through, obviously council does approve an application in its entirety, and then to discourage applicants from wanting to make changes on the fly, then asking us to retrospectively approve those changes. What mechanisms or controls in place for council to consider?
Thank you. Yeah, the proactive controls are through our policy and just the enforcement of the Act. It doesn't, obviously, it's difficult to control what behaviours people actually do. And at times people can apply for variations as provided for under the regs and the Act. In this case, where it's retrospective, it's often identified through our own work or awareness, or comes through subsequent inquiries by an applicant. And that's where sometimes we have to advise that the nature of the change isn't a automatic approval. So sometimes there's often a misunderstanding as to what they can do and what needs approval.
Wonderful, thank you. Councillor House, one last one.
Sorry, I actually didn't realise this was a retrospective application, and so I'm concerned that we're being asked to consider a retrospective application where we've got a clear policy in place regarding the process for workforce accommodation. I just want to really get a really good understanding about how we've let this go through to the keeper. We've got these mechanisms in place, and I understand you don't have that answer on hand right now, Mr. Director, so I'll take that on notice. You can take that on notice, sorry.
Director, would you like to take that one on notice?
No, I can answer that.
Thank you, Director.
Similar to the last answer, is the city's policies and provisions under the Planning Act and regulations do allow for retrospective approval. So when they do come through into our attention, we can deal with them when they come.
Thank you, Director. Supplementary, Councillor House.
I just asked you a question about the policies and not complying with one of the policies that Council has. Can you just explain why you used your argument or your justification that you're basing your decision on the policies? I just don't see the logic in that.
Director.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I'll take that on notice to provide further information, but essentially it is that we do have provisions to consider retrospective applications.
Thank you, Director. With that, we'll move on to the next item, which is item 15.7.3, the 2026 calendar of events. Do any councillors have any questions? Councillor Della.
Thank you. Through to the Director. Could you please provide any commentary as to when we might see a Christmas tree back in Hannon Street and decorations?
Thank you, Councillor Della. Director.
I'll take that on notice.
Thank you, Director. Any other questions relating to this item? Councillor House.
Can Councillor Della move a motion for that to happen next year?
It's completely up to Councillor Della next week, Councillor House, to potentially to go from there, and I'm sure Councillor Della will consider that in a due course. Any other questions of the Director this evening, though, relating to this item? No. We'll move on to the next item, which is the 15.7.4, the 2026 Walk of Fame. Do any councillors have any questions relating to the officer's report or this item? Councillor House.
Just regarding the Walk of Fame, wanted to get some clarity around how we manage this from a safety perspective, given that we're putting these installations into public thoroughfares. What kind of systems and procedures do we have in place just to ensure that we're creating a safe environment?
Thank you, Councillor House. Director.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, from what I've observed of the installations to date, they're flush with the pavement and don't present any trip hazards or risks.
Supplementary, Councillor House.
My question was specifically related, do we have a policy? Do we have a procedure? Do we have anything in place that would guide us in that decision making? Thank you.
Director.
I'll take that on notice.
Thank you, Director. Any final questions on this item? Nil. With that, there are no other items for Council to consider on the agenda for this evening to ask any questions of. And as such, I officially close the meeting at 7:41 p.m. and thank everyone for their attendance here tonight. I'll see you all next Monday at the Ordinary Council meeting. Enjoy the start of the festive season. I certainly am. And we'll go from there. Thank you very much, and thank you everyone online.